because we have an interesting discussion about a very interesting and hot topic, which is mental toughness in media. So both parts are very important, the mental toughness and the responsibility of the media, which I hope we will cover together. And I'm curious about your opinion. Just please think a bit about your goals. Right now we are at the end of 2023, the beginning of 2024, and you all had commitments. You all want to make some changes in your life, I guess, because it's a new energy always at the year beginning. So think about that. How could mental toughness help you? And if you remember in 2023, why maybe some lack of mental toughness blocked you in reaching your desired goals. And as I told you, King presented me that I worked in media like 25 years in Hungary and Central Eastern Europe, and I'm doing sports for exactly 52 years, so I'm kind of old. And I had a reason why to do sports, because I was a kind of traumatized and obese child, and I run to save my, let's say, my life into ice hockey and later karate, which is going to have a little bit of relevancy in our today discussions. And we do these sports which are not so light sport, let's say, ice hockey and karate. I made some progresses, but something was missing. So it was missing, some energy there was still missing. I was a kind of resilient. I could play on ice, and I could make some good fights with very strong opponents, but something was missing. And also parallelly, when I worked as a coach, I used tests in order to help my clients. The sports guy, I worked with elite sportsmen, I worked with managing directors, sales directors, HR directors, so a lot of people who suffered because of stress or because of the pressure. And I used the big fight test. I think all of you are familiar with that. I used the DISC test, but still was something missing. And in 2020, I met Csigas Zoltan, who is a great Hungarian coach, who introduced me to Peter Klaw and his colleagues, and Doug Strihartzi. And then I find really what I was looking for, because they have a company, AQR International. You could check that as later on. And they invested a lot of energy and researches to elaborate the concept of the mental toughness, which is a really well-grounded and studied concept according to them. They originally defined the concept of the mental toughness because you all have a feeling that it has something to do with resistance, with tenacity, with resilience. And their definition is like that. Mental toughness is a personality trait which enables us to react and to think to any kind of stress, opportunities, dangers, regardless of the situation. And that was for me a very important thing, regardless of the situation. Later on in the private discussions, we're gonna analyze this. And after this definition, they established 4 categories of the mental toughness, which are commitment, which are control, which are challenge, and which are confidence. And later on, they broke down these 4 main categories into 8 subcategories. So each category had 2 subcategories. For example, control, the first category, has 2 subcategories, the emotional control and the life control. And many of us, they have good life control, but maybe they have less emotional control, or vice versa. then the commitment factor, the commitment category was also broken down into two: the goal orientation, if I dare to make promises, and the result orientation, the achievement orientation, if I'm gonna keep my promises. And you're gonna see, if you're gonna enter into discussions, that there are people who make promises, but they don't keep them. And then there are other people who don't make promises, and they work for others, but they push until they gonna get through. And the challenge, the third category, was also broken down into subcategories: the risk orientation, which is a well-studied category by many researchers, and which was a kind of new for me, the learning orientation. So how far I learn from mistakes. Maybe that was one of my big mistakes, that I didn't learn from my earlier mistakes, but this brought a lot of results to, let's maybe for myself, but for my clients, definitely. And the fourth category, the confidence, was also broken down into two subcategories: the confidence in my abilities and the confidence in my interpersonal skills. How I can get people on my boat, how I can communicate with them, how I can work together with them. So that was basically their innovation, that they are, as far as I know, maybe in the discussions we're gonna confront other opinions, they are the leading researcher of the mental toughness, because I never seen nobody who, no researcher or psychologist, who could show me this 8 subcategories so crystal clear. You're gonna get from us a material right after my presentation, so you're gonna see how report is looking like. I mean, an individual report about our mental toughness. And if you think, just please think a bit, how these categories appear in your life: the life control, the emotional control, if you can manage your emotions or the emotions of others, or the goal orientation, if you are setting goals and you're keeping your focus on the specific goal, or you are tempted to interrupt yourself. Please make some thoughts that we can have an interactive discussions later on. And of course, the other categories, the risk orientation, if you dare to experiment new things, or you are a reserved person, because it's not a problem if we lack or we have low results by one of the categories. Everybody has. So I was also shocked when I seen my first report that how many low scores I get, but I was also happy that I had at least 3 good scores out of the 8 categories. So basically, it's I understood from Peter Clark and Doug that anyway, this is like the physical training. You can never finish with this. This is the bad news. The good news is that you got to be always in shape. So this is the challenge for all of us. If we want to deal with this, it's like a diet, basically. If you have a diet, you can make some progress. But all the researches show that a diet, you know that the diet results after 6 months show that people get back 110% or 107% of their initial weight. So basically, if we want to have a success in a diet, we need to have a new lifestyle. This is what is working. It's difficult. I mean, it's easy at the first glance, and it looks simple, but it's difficult to keep this because we need willpower, we need commitment, and all these kind of things. So basically, that would be the first that they defined. The second, that they elaborated a good tool, a test, a survey called MTQ, which it's like a 20-page analysis. If you decide that you want to know your mental toughness, you're gonna get around 70 pounds or 66 pounds or something like that. You're gonna get a report, and you can decide whether you want to develop and to take this diet, or you just find another strategy and to cope with your eventual weaknesses. And of course, it's a natural question, basically, that is it worth it to deal with this thing? What can I gain? Because the studies show that the benefits of a mental tough person, there are minimum 4. So first of all, if we analyze the performances of different persons, minimum 25% of the differences between two persons' performance, minimum 25% are coming from the mental toughness of the given person. So that means that we could assume and expect that if we invest energy in building up our mental toughness, then we could have better results, we could have better performance. And also some studies show that our well-being is going to be higher. So this is the second benefit, that of course the stress management. Nowadays, you know that stress is killing people. So basically 3 things are killing people: obesity, stress, and smoking. So you have a likelihood to get rid of these things if you might be jeopardized. The third benefit would be the agility. So look what kind of life we have around us since 2020. Corona, Ukraine, Israel, all these kind of big chaotic events. So it's good that we didn't lost our minds, but of course we need somehow to fill our reserves. So that could be another benefit. And also the studies show as a fourth benefit that if we invest energy in building up our mental toughness, we have the probability of reaching our aspirations and to have the courage to aspire to a better life, to a better version of ourselves is higher. So that would be the first part of basically the introduction part. Let me see how many minutes we have. Okay, I have 1-2 minutes if you want. So of course, I understood also from 8-Core International that there are some barriers of the mental toughness, and like the barriers of a diet. If we don't control our urges and impulses, then we weaken our mental toughness. If we don't delay gratification, it's similar. Or if we, in Hungary, maybe in your countries, you don't have this. Unfortunately, many times we see the victim mentality, that somebody is just want to find excuses instead of focusing on the factors what they can control, or the worrying, because nowadays also the anxiety, it's a epidemic of the anxiety, and it's if we have a kind of tendency to worry, then the research shows that we're gonna jeopardize our mental toughness. And we can continue with all these kind of barriers. I will explain you in the private discussions. And also, of course, because this is just the theory, and I'm not a theoretical guy, so I still train and I go in the gym and every day, or I try to take some risks, how can I tell you, to stress my body and probably my mental reserves. So I'm going to offer to you tools, concrete tools. So if you decide to invest energy in building your mental toughness, then there are a lot of tools. And then basically, so it's simple, but not easy. So I wish you, to everybody, good luck in starting this journey and reaching some